What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here for All Elite Wrestling on Off the Script. It is December 11th, 2019. Excellent show by AEW, but that goes without saying. It's usually an excellent show every single week. And tonight, man, I love tonight's show. Tonight's show reminded me of the urgency that AEW has had for the last 9, 10, 11 weeks since they've been on TV. I love the fact that they built tonight as the go-home show for next week. Now, December 18th is going to be a big night in the world of professional wrestling. NXT has their show loaded up. We're going to have a women's championship match with Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. We're going to have an NXT championship match against Adam Cole and whomever's going to walk out the victor in that triple threat match that I'm going to watch immediately after I finish this podcast. Hopefully it's Keith Lee. We'll see what happens. Amongst other things that are happening on NXT that night, AEW has lined themselves up for what is probably, I'm going to go on record and say I could be wrong and you guys could think differently about this. I'm going to go on record and say that this is not only the most important show for AEW next week, but on paper, it is probably the most impressive show that AEW is set to put on next Wednesday, December 18th. Tonight we had a number one contenders match between the number one and number two teams in AEW. Proud and powerful Santana and Ortiz versus the Young Bucks. We're going to get a tag team title match next week. The winner of that match tonight goes on next week to fight SCU for the AEW Tag Team Championships. We got Chris Jericho continuing with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in the little mini feud he's got going on right now. And that's going to be his last match of the year. Non-title. Title is not going to be on the line for Chris Jericho. Loving what they're doing there, building Jungle Boy up, giving Jungle Boy a chance. Also giving Luchasaurus the spotlight in all of this just to kind of get their names up the ladder going into 2020. We got Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. Obviously, that is the world title situation going into 2020. And I loved everything about what Jericho and Moxley did tonight. We'll go over that. Cody, MJF. That goes without saying. MJF, I mean, you guys know about MJF. The best promo in all of pro wrestling. Nobody even comes close. And there are a couple of guys in the industry that are pretty damn fucking good themselves. But nobody even holds a candle to MJF. Loving what MJF and Cody have going on right now. MJF was in the ring with a live microphone. The best 5 minutes of pro wrestling that you will see all week. Absolutely flawless. MJF paid the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny to take out Cody Rhodes. They made their AEW debut tonight. Well, not debut, but in-ring debut, I should say. Tonight against QT Marshall and Cody Rhodes. A lot going on tonight. And we're going to go over it all right here on Off the Script. One thing I do want to make mention of with AEW, usually I come on here and complain about something as far as their production goes. Tonight, they got everything right. And I'm glad that they finally nailed it. Everything from the announcers, the in-ring microphones during the promos, the crowd, the theme music. Everything sounded and looked the best it has been since AEW debuted on October 2nd. So I'm glad that everything has gotten to where it needs to be. Great show tonight. Tonight was the go-home show for next week. December 18th is the unofficial last pay-per-view of the year for All Elite Wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining me right here on the podcast. And if you guys missed anything on the channel this week, Monday Night Raw, go check it out. I got a couple of video game gameplays for you if you guys are into that type of thing. I like to relax and just have fun when I'm not stressing about anything else. I've been playing Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo Switch. It's a really great game, really fun. Shout out to Salrex for making me those hilarious thumbnails. So make sure you guys go and check all of that out. There was no Off the Script Elite for Tuesday. I'm not scrapping the podcast. I just didn't really have any news to go over to give you guys an ample enough, substantial enough podcast. The only news that I had was news on Joey Janela and Big Cass. That was pretty much it. And the AEW weekly rankings and what was going to be advertised for AEW Dynamite tonight. That really wasn't worth my time coming on here, so I took the day off. And I enjoyed myself, so that was pretty much it. I enjoyed myself playing Destiny and relaxing during the miserable weather here on the East Coast. So we'll be back when we got more news. I guess I should say that Off the Script Elite is not going to be every week. When there's no news, obviously there's not going to be a podcast. When there's news, obviously there's going to be a podcast. So make sure you guys are subscribed and make sure you guys turn on that bell for all notifications. That you can easily do down below. See that subscribe button? Click it. You see the bell? Turn it on. Make sure you guys are notified of all my uploads. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. Same thing on Instagram, JD from NY206. If you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, you guys can certainly do that as well. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Huge shout out to my boy Daryl. He is one of my Patreons. He dropped a very, very generous donation tonight during the Luigi's Mansion premiere on YouTube when I was playing my Nintendo Switch. So, Daryl, thank you so much, brother. I hope everything is all right, and thank you for being a loyal and dedicated member of what I do here, man. I really, really appreciate everything you do, and happy holidays, brother. And tonight's podcast is going to go to The Ridge, sponsored by The Ridge today, man. Ridge.com/script. You guys can use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off. Hey, man, if you guys need something for the holidays, Ridge has got you covered. The Ridge helps you carry what you need to every single day, from streamlining how you guys carry cash and your credit cards in their flagship Ridge wallet, which I have had and I've been using all year. I never leave home without it, to their charging commuter backpacks. They want to make the most out of what you bring with you every single day. Now, like I said, I got the Ridge wallet. I love the fact that it's very durable. It doesn't bend. It doesn't scratch. It doesn't fold. It always looks clean and stylish. I love the fact that no matter where I go, man, I pull my wallet out. I know I got the nicest wallet anywhere I go. And the best thing about it that I like, I know that I am safe. The Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking quality so that your identity, your ID, and your credit cards, none of your information is going to be in jeopardy whatsoever. The Ridge is so confident that you'll enjoy the product. They made it as simple as possible. Free shipping so you guys can get it fast for the holidays. Free returns in case you don't like it. And if you do like it, which I don't know why you wouldn't, there's a lifetime guarantee. There's also 30,000 5-star reviews for their products, and they got a lot to be confident about. The Ridge is super durable, made from military-grade materials like titanium and carbon fiber. It's proven to be bulletproof, waterproof, and chainsaw-proof. Guys, it is a great gift for the holiday season, for your husband, for your boyfriend, for yourself, for your dad, for your grandpa, for your uncle. It makes a great gift. You guys can save some money this holiday season and get that free shipping on the Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off. And I want to thank them for supporting and sponsoring today's podcast for All Elite Wrestling right here on Off the Script. AEW Dynamite tonight started off with Jon Moxley, December 11, 2019, Garland, Texas, Curtis Caldwell Center. This is how you do enhancement matches, folks. This is how you do enhancement squash matches. AEW did it right tonight. If this happened on WWE TV, first of all, if WWE did it like this and it actually mattered and what they did in the ring made sense, I would honestly praise it. I would say something good about it. Let me get that out there. People blasting me on social media. Well, if WWE did it, you wouldn't say it was good. Of course I would. I'm always open and honest with everybody, especially my audience, when it comes to pro wrestling. This is a squash match, but this was the way you do one in the correct fashion. Because what happened with this squash match obviously led to what we seen after the squash match. WWE squash matches or enhancement matches, they don't mean anything. All their squash matches are on TV for one reason and one reason only, and that's because they can't think of anything creatively for those people that they're trying to get over, so they put them in squash matches. There's no reason why the Viking Raiders should be in enhancement matches as Raw Tag Team Champions, after obviously being in the ring at the Survivor Series with the Undisputed Era and the New Day. Give me a break. That's just creative laziness, folks. WWE did what AEW did here tonight. I would openly say it was a good segment. But normally, they are not. This was. Moxley versus Alex Reynolds with John Silver. 12 seconds. It only took 12 seconds to beat Alex Reynolds. Paradigm shift, and that was it. That wasn't even anywhere close to the reason why all of this happened. Everything happened here because of Chris Jericho. So Jericho walked out with the Inner Circle. And I actually had to rewind this because at this point, Jericho's music came on. Judas was playing on the PA system. I got up. I went to go make myself a quick cup of coffee. Turned my Keurig on. My buddy Jesse texts me, and he's like, did you hear the dig that Jim Ross took at WWE? I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm making my cup of coffee. He tells me this. I have to go back and rewind, and it's up to interpretation. Was it a dig at Triple H and NXT, or was it just something that the grumpy old Jim Ross said and it had no meaning whatsoever? I don't know. It's up to you guys. It's up to interpretation. Ross is talking about Jericho. Jericho being a smart guy who has reinvented himself over and over and knows the inevitability of this business, which is there. You know, it's big money. It's big money, and it's a big money match facing Jon Moxley. So he knows what he is doing, says Jim Ross. Anyone who says they're not in this business for big money is a liar. And that is obviously the case. I love the game. Would you do it for free? Well, no. Apparently there was a fan sign in the crowd. I didn't see it. My buddy Jesse told me there was a fan sign in the crowd. And obviously, from what we heard, I love the game. Would you do it for free? I don't know. Was it a dig at Triple H? Who knows? Maybe it was. Jim Ross wouldn't be the only time that he took a shot at NXT on AEW commentary. So, Jericho's in the ring. The fans are chanting something at Jericho. And it was bleeped on television. I think they were cursing at him. I don't know what they were saying because you couldn't hear it. TNT bleeped it out. Everybody on social media was like, AEW needs to stop bleeping out the crowds. This is the same thing that Fox does with WWE. So you really can't help it. It's a network thing. It's not a WWE thing, and it's not an AEW thing. It's more of a Fox and TNT thing. So Jericho obviously told them to watch their language. Jericho told Moxley to relax because if they were going to ambush him, they would have already done it. Jericho said when Moxley first arrived on the nationwide stage, a.k.a. WWE, he came to him and asked for advice with his little leather jacket and Kurt Cobain little bowl cut. He said he gave him advice on how to become a star. He said then they became enemies and tore each other apart and beat the shit out of each other. I taught you how to become a champion, he said, and then years later, when you needed to ignite your passion for your life, for this business, you called me. And I navigated you out of those waters, out of those rocks, and navigated you right here to AEW, says Jericho to Moxley. So obviously fans started chanting AEW, AEW. Said Moxley is just now harnessing the power he has in him, and once again, Moxley needs Jericho. I don't know if you guys want to interpret that how you interpret it. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I would say, looking at the bigger picture, I don't think Moxley needs Jericho. I don't think Jericho needs Moxley. You could say that they need each other right now, and right now I think is more of a perfect time than anything. I don't think they need each other, but it's a perfect marriage. Jericho needs a very good babyface to work with. There's nobody better right now than Jon Moxley. And being that the wins and losses matter, obviously Moxley is ahead of everybody on the roster and getting the first shot at Jericho under the wins and losses pretense. You got Kenny Omega, you got Adam Hangman Page. There are other baby faces on this roster that the fans clearly want to get behind, but right now Moxley is the best candidate for the AEW World Championship. Next in line for that championship. There's nobody better. So I don't think they need each other. I'm going to go out there and say that AEW needs this match to happen. This is the perfect match for the next pay-per-view that they did announce tonight on the show. This is a main event that AEW needs. It's going to be fantastic because the history is there. And you know, with the creativity from Chris Jericho and the creativity in the mind of Jon Moxley, that promo-wise, back and forth, never mind what we're going to see when the actual match happens, promo-wise, back and forth, this is going to be TV gold. Because there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of realism that they can throw into this. Just dating back to where they both were several years ago. They were under the same roof, feuding with each other over a fucking potted plant named Mitch. You know for a fact that they're going to go and talk about their previous years under the same roof, working for that company. It's going to be TV gold. I can't wait to see what they produce. So he needs him, Jericho says. So fans are chanting AEW. Jericho began to propose an alliance. Fans started booing. Jericho told them to shut up. He asked him to imagine what it would be like if they joined forces. So he invites Jon Moxley, officially, to join the Inner Circle. Fans are booing. They're doing the no, no, no. Nobody wants Moxley to join the Inner Circle. Moxley standing there, stone cold, legitimately, not showing any emotion whatsoever, just listening to what Jericho has to say. And I'm imagining what Moxley is saying in his head. This guy is a fucking fool over and over and over again if he thinks I'm going to join the Inner Circle. So Moxley standing there, no emotion whatsoever. Jericho with an Inner Circle t-shirt shows Moxley. Jericho then told him to talk it over with his lovely wife during the holidays and his mother whom he met, he said. I don't know if that's legitimately true or not, probably, but who knows? It made for a good promo. He said after the holidays he can circle back. He said a true paradigm shift would be Moxley working with them to take over AEW. When you're ready, we will be waiting. He takes the Inner Circle shirt, he puts it over Moxley's right shoulder, and the best part about all of this, with the fans chanting no, Moxley is looking right in the camera, the cameraman right there, and he's got a close-up shot of Jon Moxley, and Moxley's eye roll and, like, the look of just utter, like, this guy cannot be serious look all over his face. It was fucking fantastic. His look was so funny. And I love this. I thought this was great. You know? Why start off hot? You got 2 months to build this. So why not start off in a fashion in which Jericho started off? Everybody knows that this is going to be a money match. Why go out there and blow all of your bullets on this? Set it up. Set it up. Have Jericho play the heel, obviously, but have him play the heel who is, I don't want to say cowardly, but have him play the heel where he thinks what he's doing is right, and he truly doesn't understand Moxley, and he doesn't really respect Moxley. This is Jericho telling you, pretty much, that he doesn't respect Moxley. Because I think Jericho kind of knows what type of person Jon Moxley is. So he's doing this just to kind of get under his skin. This is mind games from the best heel in the business right now, Chris Jericho. I love this. This is a subtle plant. This is a subtle continuation of what we've been seeing on television. And I think it's great having him join the Inner Circle, quote unquote, and Jericho giving him enough time to think about it. Right? We got Jericho and Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus next week. We got that going on. We won't have TV on the following Wednesday because it's Christmas. And then we'll be right back in Jacksonville on New Year's Day. So this is great. That's when everything can kind of take that next step. But this is a nice continuation where it's nothing too much. It's not too little. I think this was awesome. This was a very entertaining promo, a very entertaining opening segment for AEW. Now, the one thing I will say is that the Jericho Moxley match, no matter how many positives it has, and I don't want to hear this from anybody because I will immediately shut you down. I don't want to hear anybody talk about the word predictable. This was entertaining. It was good. It was a nice natural progression for what we got coming up as far as the storyline goes here. The entire thing with these two is going to be the build. The match itself is going to be predictable. There's nobody watching me or watching the product right now that thinks Jericho's going to beat Moxley. Now, they could obviously do the bait and switch. They could lead the fans on. They could pull a swerve and have Jericho retain, but that would be counterproductive. You're not going to have Moxley go in there and lose to Chris Jericho. I think Jericho right now is doing what he needs to do to get the brand and the show over on a weekly basis. Moxley is so over right now. Moxley is depending on who you talk to, where he came from, a household name. People know who he is from his days in WWE. It's the right decision to put the title on him. It's going to be predictable, but like I said, everything that is going into that match is going to be about the build, not so much the outcome of the match. And predictable is not bad if it makes all the sense in the world. So don't go out there and start saying, oh, this sucks because it's predictable. It's going to land you in the idiot house. That's all I'm saying with that. Predictable does not mean bad. So we got Santana and Ortiz, a video package issuing the challenge to the Young Bucks in a Texas street fight. It's going to be for the number one contendership for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. They made their ring entrance. They are going 2-on-2, I should say. Not 1-on-1, 2-on-2 with Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall. Now, I was very interested in seeing what these four would produce. Now, the story here is the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. Everybody with their debut, with Excalibur botching it and Jim Ross kind of throwing Excalibur under the bus because Excalibur knew who they were. Nobody knew who they were. Jim Ross didn't even know who they were. But somehow the only person in the building who knew who they were was Excalibur. So it kind of looked a little comedic. It was very laughable. So with their debut, a lot of people really didn't, get it or understand it. And there was just this vibe of who the fuck are these guys? So I was very much looking forward to this because A, I wanted to see how they followed up, and B, I wanted to see all the hype. Everybody on my social media, people in my comment section all through the week leading up to this, JD, you're going to love these guys. They're a great tag team. They've been wrestling up and down the East Coast. They're really, really great. Fine. I'm always up for giving another tag team a shot because I love tag team wrestling. I thought this was awesome. I really thought this was awesome. The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, they came out. I love their look. I think their look is fucking fantastic. I love the theme. I'm assuming that's Every Time I Die, being that I believe it's the Butcher who guitars for Every Time I Die. And then Allie, she looked phenomenal in that role. So the overall package is fantastic. Now, if they back it up in the ring like everybody said that I would like, then we got a winning JD combo here. Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall. The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, they were paid off by MJF. Cody Rhodes wanted to get revenge on the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny so much that he said he would do anything. And we had MJF pick Cody Rhodes' partner, and in that, he chose QT Marshall. So that's the lead up to this. So the Butcher and the Blade defeated Cody and QT Marshall. As the Butcher and the Blade entered, MJF had a little picture-in-picture promo mocking QT. And Cody and the Blade started the match off. Nice opening sequence. Cody hit a power slam for a 1 count. QT and the Butcher tagged in. Ali tripped QT from the floor, and then the Blade nailed him with a tope con hero. Butcher and the Blade worked over Marshall through the commercial break. We go to commercial. They built to a hot tag to Cody. QT kept getting cut off. Finally hit a very nice enziguri. Made the hot tag to Cody. Cody ran wild with a picture-perfect moonsault, the top rope springboard cutter, and a disaster kick. I seen some people on social media telling me that Cody is overrated. How is Cody overrated when Cody A is probably the best in-ring promo, or one of the best in-ring promos in all of pro wrestling for 2019. He's definitely got some serious competition in MJF which he actually made mention of on commentary tonight. One of the best in-ring promos all year in 2019. Every single one of his matches have been nothing short of amazing. Just the in-ring storytelling by Cody. Every time he goes out there, you are mesmerized and invested in everything that he's doing because the story is so rich and so deep. How is he overrated? How is he overrated? People are telling me, oh, he wants to be Triple H. He wants to be so much like Triple H. Where? Why are you out there comparing Cody and Triple H? I don't get it. Cody's doing his thing. It's resonating with the fans. It's coming off as epic and real and natural. Let him continue doing what he's doing. I don't find anything that Cody is doing as try-hard or overrated. I think what he's done is some of the best stuff in pro wrestling all year. So, Cody ran wild with the moonsault, the top rope springboard cutter, the disaster kick. Alley then gouged Cody's eyes. He was hanging on the middle rope. She gouged his eyes. QT tagged himself in and hit a dive over the top. He looked impressive in doing so, but he was surprised that he actually was able to pull it off. QT then goes to the top and hits a top rope moonsault for a near fall. He got cut off. Butcher and the Blade looked like a magic killer of sorts into a backstabber. And I believe that is their tandem finisher. I don't know what it's called. But then the Blade pinned QT, and that was it. So we got the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny winning their in-ring debut on AEW Dynamite. I thought this was awesome. Like I said, I thought they looked great. They have this old-school vibe to them, which I love. And their in-ring style is very much, reminds me of the Revival. So I'm loving what we got with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. They're not going to move any needles. They're not going to bring in the ratings. But if they can add another solid tag team that is over in the eyes of the audience, obviously with pairing them in this match with Cody Rhodes, that was the whole premise here. I think it's going to be a successful trio in AEW. I want to see more from them. Now the match, even though it was fun and even though the story was there for everything, there was a couple things I didn't like about this match. Number one, I did not like the fact that QT Marshall got so much offense on the Butcher and the Blade. I kind of understand why they did it. And I understand why they did it because if QT Marshall is going to be one of those guys that they lean on in situations like this, you kind of want to establish him in the eyes of the fans. But nobody really knows him watching at home. You know, in the eyes of the fans watching at home, it's Cody and a bum working against these two guys who came out and beat the shit out of him last week. So it's like, why are we seeing so much offense from QT Marshall? It doesn't necessarily make the Butcher and the Blade look good either, because if they're out there as hired guns by MJF, why are they struggling so much with someone who's not Cody Rhodes? So I really didn't understand that. Like, I don't mind the suicide dive over the top rope. I don't mind the moonsault that he did off the top rope. I don't mind moves like that in a comeback fashion, and then he immediately gets stopped, put down, and pinned. But he should not have gotten nearly as much offense as he did. I love the fact that Cody was on the outside selling the fact that he could not get one over on MJF. He almost sold it as if he was very heartbroken over the entire situation. I love the fact that MJF said, Cody has no friends. I was his only friend. Cody has no friends on the AEW roster. Out comes Darby Allin. Out comes Darby Allin. He blows past the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. He goes over to Cody Rhodes, who's sitting on the floor, kind of just out of it. Couldn't believe what happened. He was disappointed that he lost. He goes over and shakes Cody Rhodes' hand. So they played it up on commentary as if Cody Rhodes, MJF was wrong, number one. And number two, Cody Rhodes does have a friend in Darby Allin. Now, the news with Darby Allin was, I was under the impression that he was hurt, because he had tweeted something that his neck was an issue as of a week ago, less than a week ago. So I'm not sure if it's something that is serious enough to keep him out or if he's ready to go. Because they wouldn't have put him in this situation in Cody Rhodes' corner, befriending Cody Rhodes, to have him just sit out injured. So we'll see what happens. I thought this was great. And, you know, there were more positives coming out of this than negatives. I'm very interested to see where the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny go from here. I thought they looked great in their in-ring debut. And it kind of washed away, that silly debut that they had attacking Cody Rhodes. So I'm definitely intrigued on what they got going on. And as a trio, they look the part for sure. MJF in the ring with a microphone. You know when that MJF is in the ring with a microphone, it is TV gold. So MJF is in the ring, and we have him with Wardlow, of course. Always got to be with Wardlow. Ross noted that MJF is wearing that diamond ring, that $45,000 diamond ring. So MJF is in the ring, and before the music goes off, he starts yelling, cut the music off, and he called one of the ringside camera guys into the ring with him, insulting him and accusing him of laughing at him. He ordered him, this guy who they didn't really acknowledge by name, he ordered this ring crew member to kiss the diamond ring, which the guy did. Otherwise, Wardlow was going to beat the shit out of him. So he tried to leave. Wardlow stopped him from exiting the ring. MJF then gave him a crossroads for his trouble. Double cross by MJF. MJF said it looked pretty damn good to him, acknowledging that that would not be the last time you see him use the crossroads, meaning he's going to use it to beat Cody Rhodes. He's going to use his own finishing move against him. So, fans, again, chanting something that I don't know what they were yelling. If you guys are in the audience tonight and watching the podcast, please let me know what you guys were chanting. Not only during this segment, but the Chris Jericho segment, because TNT bleeped it out on live television. So, I don't know what they were chanting, but they were acknowledging MJF with something that was very naughty. MJF said Cody is one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation, and with a mic in his hand, he is untouchable except for one exception. You do not throw rocks at a man with a machine gun, and when my mouth opens, these bullets do not miss, says MJF. Man, is that a fucking shoot if I ever heard one. You do not want to get into a verbal back and forth with MJF, because his promos are absolutely like a machine gun. Said he heard Cody's business proposal, but he doesn't need his crap or his money. Said unlike the swine in the crowd, I laughed at the word swine in him describing Texas. I don't know why I laughed at it so much. I laughed at him calling Texas swine. He has enough money to last him a lifetime. He said what he needs is for Cody to suffer. He said he decided to call him a knockoff Chris Jericho. He said Cody must have stayed up for hours sweating bullets thinking of that one-liner. He asked if it's because of his scarf. Fans chanted fake. MJF mentioned about the crowd and the audience thinking that he wears a fake Burberry scarf. MJF said that word is appropriate. The word fake is appropriate. It's appropriate everywhere. It's appropriate with people in the community who are not open and honest with their audience. It's definitely a word that you could attribute to most of the WWE roster in the way that they handle themselves. They act one way and then they come out and act a completely different way when they do an interview or a podcast or whatnot. MJF said that this word is appropriate because when he thinks of that word, he thinks of Cody. So the fans are booing him. He said that there is the platinum blonde hair that Cody has. It looks like a cat took a piss on it. He made fun of it. Again, I laughed. I thought that was hilarious. He made fun of his teeth, comparing them to Gary Busey. And he said what's real is his shitty little lisp. And he imitated someone who has a lisp. And he asked if he offended him, and the fans seemed to be upset. Oh, did I upset you? So not only is MJF shitting on Cody, he's also shitting on the fans for being upset, playing up to the fact that the fans did not appreciate what he had to say. He asked if he's going to ask Tony Khan to fire him. MJF said he won't do that because the one thing he wants most in the world is to get his hands on MJF, and he'd be letting down a lot of people. Said those fans want to see them go at it. So he yelled, guess what, Cody? You're on. But, obviously, there's a but when there's a heel involved. Here's a couple of stipulations, but he won't reveal them here in Hunkyville, USA, Texas. He mocked being hurt by their asshole chants. Fans started raining asshole chants down at MJF. He said he'd reveal the stipulations in Jacksonville next month on New Year's Day, the first show of 2020. Told Cody he's foaming at the mouth backstage, but he wants him to remember that he's in control, not Cody, because he's better than him, and Cody knows it. Absolutely. The best 5 minutes of any wrestling show that you will see all week, no matter what Lio Rush and Angel Garza, from what I'm hearing, did tonight on NXT. Absolutely flawless in everything he did. I don't have anything else to say but that. This promo is going to be absolutely one of the best things you see all year, just based on the mic work going back and forth. MJF cut a great promo on Twitter last week, just revealing that he was the one behind the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. I don't know why that didn't make television. I don't know why we didn't see that tonight. We had MJF littered on this show in that picture-in-picture video package. We had him in this promo here in the ring. This was absolutely flawless in everything. Execution, delivery, and I cannot wait to see what Cody says in rebuttal to MJF. This is fantastic television. TV gold. You're going to hear me say that word a lot when MJF is on TV and with a microphone in his hand. And Cody with a microphone in his hand. This is TV gold. Jericho's TV gold. This is the future of the business. 23 years old. Can you imagine him being this good now at 23, what he's going to be in 5 years from now? Unbelievable. And this is the product of not scripting the talent of MJF. Can you imagine if he was a part of the WWE? Can you imagine if he was a part of the WWE, how tame he would be? We would not be getting this version of MJF. This is what an unscripted promo, not totally unscripted bullet points, would do. And you send them out there to do what they need to do. You send them out there to work on their strengths and give people the best of who you got. Look at the result. Flawless. It's the best way for me to put MJF on the microphone. Absolutely flawless. Can't wait to see what they got going on with Cody's rebuttal. See the Dark Order video package? There was Alex Reynolds of the Beaver Bros. He was there. He's John Silver's tag team partner. He was watching TV in the hotel room, laying on the bed. And then it was generic. It was like one of those regular infomercials that you see in the hotel. You go to like the hotel channel and they got, what's on pay-per-view, and they got, whatever restaurants or whatnot are in the downstairs lobby of the hotel. What bar is downstairs in the hotel? Kind of generic, but then it all of a sudden got personal for Alex Reynolds, and they addressed him, asking if he's tired of being a jobber. Now, the spokesman, who we've seen, he's been the same guy that's been all through these Dark Order promos. He knocked on the TV and addressed Alex by name directly. Took notice and talked to the TV. The spokesman said that they've been watching the Beaver Boys lose over and over and over. The spokesman told him that they, are probably in need of numbers. Strength in numbers. So join the Dark Order. Then it went back to being the regular generic hotel, infomercial. And in walks John Silver. And he's asking Alex Reynolds to get up. Who you talking to? What's going on? He said, I don't know. And Alex says, I don't know what's going on. And then the screen on the TV said, www.joindarkorder.com. So I'm loving these Dark Order promos, and it's developing character for them. I don't know if it's going to be another stable. I hope not. There's too many dark stables in WWE. You got the BBB, you got Brandy and whatever she's got going on, and then you got the Dark Order. So enough of the dark stables. There's too much dark in AEW. They even got a show named AEW Dark. So much dark in AEW. They're very well produced, and I am really enjoying the vignettes for the Dark Order. Big Swole versus Emmy Sakura. This was the sole women's match on the show. Really didn't enjoy this all that much. Now, I'm loving what they're doing with Big Swole. I'm glad to see Big Swole on AEW television. They definitely need some women on this roster with some charisma. Big Swole has that. She has enough to compensate for the entire roster, to be honest with you. I am not a fan of Emmy Sakura. I'm not. I'm really not. I don't like the gimmick. I don't give a shit where she came from. I don't give a shit who she is over in Japan. She's on AEW television far too much. She's not translating well with the audience. She's absolutely not translating well with me. Get her off of TV. I am absolutely sick to death of looking at Emmy Sakura. I'm sick of the fucking mustache. I'm sick of the brand of charisma that she has. I'm sick of the microphone. I don't give a shit. I really don't. There's absolutely nothing about Emmy Sakura that is going to make me give a shit about the women's division. I don't give a shit. Get her off of TV. We need this division to have some substance, and Emmy Sakura is not it. I don't give a shit what you think of her. I don't give a shit how much of a fan you are. She is, to me, god-awful. And I love throwing that word around. And I mean it for this Emmy Sakura. I just don't care. I really don't care. Big Swole beat Emmy Sakura. Swole, like I said, is just a ball of charisma. Cedric Alexander's wife. Got off to a good start. Some kicks. Sakura is there. Obviously, Big Swole still a little green. Britt Baker a little green. I don't want to say Chris Statlander is as green as Britt Baker and Big Swole. She's probably more seasoned than both of them combined. She's still a little green herself. Sakura is used in these situations as a guide, as a mentor, as a teacher. Keep her as that. Maybe work behind the scenes and make everybody better behind the scenes. I don't want to see her in the ring. So she was obviously the veteran in this match, leading the match with Big Swole. That's the one thing I noticed. Sakura cut Swole off and used a Romero special, or a rolling surfboard, whatever you want to call it. Sakura continued to work Swole over through a commercial break. Back from commercial break, Sakura hit a Tiger Driver over her knee. Sakura grabbed her microphone, as always, and did a bunch of her fucking cringe-like Freddie Mercury impersonations. Big Swole grabbed the microphone and started to do a James Brown impersonation. Sakura hit a Vader bomb for a 2 count. Sakura missed a moonsault. They traded some big strikes. Big Swole hit a pump kick for a 2 count. Swole missed with her ripcord headbutt. She got it on the second attempt, though, and that's her finish. They call it Dirty Dancing, and Big Swole pinned Emmy Sakura. That was pretty much it. I didn't really care about the match whatsoever. I do want to see more of Big Swole. Hopefully, the fans can really get behind this women's division. Clearly, the fans are behind Big Swole. She had a great reception from the Dallas crowd, or the Texas crowd, I should say. Garland, Texas. And that was pretty much it. Nothing more, nothing less. Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page, they defeated Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. I think this is the first time we've seen Penelope Ford on AEW Dynamite with Shawn Spears. It was supposed to be with Tully Blanchard. And Tully Blanchard said that he wants to find a tag team partner like he had Arn Anderson. He wants to find a tag team partner for Shawn Spears. And it could be that Kip Sabian is that one that meshes well together with Shawn Spears. Now, Spears made his way out to the ring, and he did not have Tully Blanchard with him. He looked back, Tully Blanchard didn't come out of the tunnel, and he walked to the ring by himself. So I was kind of interested to see what was going on there. So Page and Omega controlled this early, and a bunch of chops, kicks. Spears and Sabian used a distraction from Penelope Ford on the floor to cut Page off. Sabian used a draping neckbreaker. They teased a hot tag. Omega got a hot tag, hit a Kotaro Crusher. Teased a Terminator dive, but Ford jumped in and blocked the dive. Ford then hit a Hurricanrana off the apron on Omega. Spears took the referee, and Ford jumped inside and did a handspring back elbow in the corner on Omega. Penelope Ford is very athletic. I don't know why I was thinking this. When she came out with Kip Sabian wearing the glasses and she had the blonde hair, obviously wearing all black, she reminded me of Kelly Bundy from Married with Children. I don't know why. I guess that's a good comparison because Kelly Bundy was, I think everybody at that time, if you were a male, had a crush on Kelly Bundy. She just reminded me so much of Kelly Bundy, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's the one thing that I thought of. So Penelope Ford did that handspring back elbow. She's very athletic, and from what I've seen of her, she's not that bad. I don't know why we don't see her in the ring, and we got to see fucking Emmy Sakura. So I would love to see Penelope Ford get a little bit more on AEW Dynamite and a spot in the women's division. Can't be worse than what we've been getting. Might as well give her a shot. So we got Ford jumping in, doing the handspring back elbow. Sabian then hit a fisherman suplex for a 2 count. Beautiful. So Omega made a comeback with some V-triggers. The lights went out. And I don't understand the lights going out gimmick in AEW. Everybody does it. The Dark Order, Cody, Dustin, right? Next thing you know, fucking Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are going to come out in the dark. What is with the lights going out and introducing a segment or an attack with the lights going out in AEW? Like, it works if the person's gimmick has to do with dark or the lights going out. Not everybody could be fucking Bray Wyatt. Not everybody could be The Undertaker, right? So the lights come back on, and Joey Janela's on the ramp with Tully Blanchard, who didn't come out at the beginning of the match. Tully Blanchard's tied up, roped up, sitting in a chair. Joey Janela kidnapped Tully Blanchard. Now, Shawn Spears sees this. He runs up the ramp, and he chases Joey Janela back into the gorilla position. Tully Blanchard's there. He chases after them. I don't understand it. First of all, we had Joey Janela and Shawn Spears. I thought this feud ended, and we're still getting the feud continuing on AEW TV. I don't think anybody gives a shit. I really don't give a shit. We were supposed to get Joey Janela and Kip Sabian because of the ties between Penelope Ford and Joey Janela. Kip Sabian mentioned something about Joey Janela being a bad boy, but he's the super bad boy. Because you're more bad because you put the word super in front of bad boy. Ridiculous, I know, but that's what they were going with. I thought we were getting that. They absolutely didn't go nowhere with that. They axed it, I believe. They completely just kiboshed that feud. And now we're getting Shawn Spears and Joey Janela. Number 2, I don't understand why AEW has to resort to the lights going out and the lights coming on and then something happening. I mean, it doesn't even fit Joey Janela's character. Why didn't they just have Tully Blanchard in the locker room or somewhere in the back, tied up by Joey Janela? Why does it have to be on the stage with the lights going out and then the lights come back on and Joey Janela's there with Tully Blanchard tied up in a chair? It doesn't fit the overall character at all for Shawn Spears or Joey Janela or Tully Blanchard. It would be a little bit more realistic if it was done in the back. You don't have to resort to the lights going out and the lights coming back on to tell a story or fill a segment for whatever you got to do with these guys. It's stupid. It absolutely is stupid to me. Didn't make any sense and it looked ridiculous. So next time they do that, they've leaned on that a little too much. You got to put an end to that. You know? There's nobody on the roster that needs that anymore. So let's move away from that because it looked ridiculous here with Joey Janela and the lights coming on, and right there is Tully Blanchard. At the end of this thing, Omega hit a Snapdragon suplex, always brutal to see. Page blind tagged himself in, hit Sabian with the buckshot lariat. Goodbye. And that was it. More Penelope Ford, please. Less lights going out, especially with someone like fucking Joey Janela. One thing I do want to make mention here is Paige. I don't know if you guys seen. There was a moment in this thing where Omega, now it might be nothing, I don't know, but it definitely stood out to me. Omega and Paige were double teaming, I believe they were double teaming Kip Sabian. Now there was chops, they were going back and forth on knife edge chops. Omega went for a double high five, and Paige completely no-sold it and walked away, went right back to the apron. And Omega was left hanging, he was like, he did one of these numbers. Now, I don't know if that is Paige teasing a heel turn. I don't know what's going on there, but it could be nothing. And maybe I'm just, overthinking things. But it definitely stood out to me for some reason. Normally if someone like Kenny Omega's doing that, you would give him a double high five. Paige did not. Now, is he overall taking this match to be serious for whatever reason? I don't know. So I don't know why he would just no-sell the double high five from Kenny Omega. So maybe it's nothing. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Maybe it's teasing a heel turn. I don't know. We had another vignette with Brandy Rhodes, and everything Brandy Rhodes has done has been very interesting. It's been very intriguing. I don't know where they're going with it, but it's one of those things right now that if you're a fan of women's wrestling in AEW, it's the one thing, honestly, that is keeping your interest. In fact, everything that Brandy Rhodes is doing is actually more interesting than everything that's gone on with the women's division, period, since day one. You have a women's champion that's not even there. Women's champion that hasn't defended her title. She hasn't even been on the fucking show. Has not even been on the show. Don't know where she is. Quite frankly, I don't even care. I would have never even made her the women's champion to begin with, Riho. So Brandy's asking where Riho has been. She asked if Riho has gotten smaller, and now you can't see her because she hasn't been on the fucking show. She took a shot at Britt Baker, telling people to take a shot every time she mentions her boyfriend, Adam Cole. She didn't mention Adam Cole by name, but she mentioned her boyfriend. So she said about Britt Baker that she is not a pro wrestler. Every time you mention your boyfriend or being compared to your boyfriend, you come off looking like nothing more than a groupie. She took more digs at Leva Bates and Chris Statlander. She says Chris Statlander has her very intrigued. She still wants Chris Statlander in her unnamed group. I think she has a name for it, right? I forgot the name of it. There's just so much dark going around. I honestly forgot what she called the fucking group. So in walked that woman, who I still don't know her name. I know you guys mentioned it in the comment section last week. I don't know her name. She has no hair now. She's completely bald. And then we see the back of a bald-headed man wearing white. He started to turn around, and she said, no, not yet. That time will come. And she kissed this man's bald head, and that's the way the segment ended. Now, I don't know who this is. If you guys have any idea who that might be, or if you have a clue as to who that might be, I would love to know, because I remember Cody Rhodes saying that they definitely have more people on their roster that they have not announced yet, and that they're going to be rolling out when the time is right. This could be one of them. I don't know, but it's got me intrigued. That was a nice cliffhanger here for this vignette by Brandy Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes mentioning that's the first thing I thought about. With this, it's got to be somebody that is going to fit this group, number one, and it's got to be a decent name for them to bring into this stable with Brandy Rhodes. That they're not having him turn around completely yet, and they're going to leave you guessing as to who it is. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Jericho and Hager made their way to the ring. They sat next to Jim Ross, and they kicked out Excalibur and Tony Schiavone from the commentary table. Jericho should be on commentary more often. He was awesome. Jake Hager didn't say a word. So I love the fact that even though they brought him out for commentary, he still played up to the gimmick. Gotta love it. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, or with Jungle Boy. It wasn't Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. It was Luchasaurus with Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt against Sammy Guevara. This one went 7 minutes. I mean, this was pretty much academic. They did everything that they could to try and keep Sammy Guevara in this thing and not have it be a total squash. You don't want to really squash Sammy Guevara. For everybody mentioning on social media, why didn't they just have Luchasaurus go out there and squash this guy? Everybody loves Luchasaurus. Can't really squash Sammy Guevara because he's part of the Inner Circle. Can't really make one of the Inner Circle look weak. Thought you guys were smarter than that. So this was good for what it was, and it got the job done as far as getting Luchasaurus over, and it kept Sammy Guevara looking strong even in defeats. Luchasaurus won with the Extinction, that tombstone-looking move where he face plants his opponent. That was pretty much it. Jericho and Hager ran to the ring and brawled with Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. Jungle Boy, during this back and forth with the chaos that happened after the match, he actually got an unofficial pin on Chris Jericho, with Marco Stunt counting the pinfall. So Jericho and Hager attacked Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy made a comeback, rolled up Jericho. Marco Stunt counted to 3. Jericho at this point was yelling that it didn't count. And Jungle Boy was looking at his imaginary watch. I don't know if they had watches back in the prehistoric era, but he looked at the watch and he said, next week it's going to happen. 10 minutes. You don't think I could go 10 minutes against you? I'm going to prove you wrong. And this is great. Title's not on the line. It's a 10-minute match. You know for a fact that they are giving you the 10-minute stipulation already 2 weeks in advance of this match. Obviously, that 10 minutes is going to come into play. Jericho does not have a tie on his record, I don't think, right? He's still undefeated one-on-one. He doesn't have a tie. It would be a great feather in the cap of Jungle Boy if he goes the limit with Chris Jericho and neither one of them win or lose. I think that would be the best outcome. Then you could always do the sneak attack after the match, or the post-match attack, rather, after the match is over. Jungle Boy looks strong in the match, and you beat him down after the match. Nobody wins, nobody loses. Jericho's still the champion. He's still undefeated. He puts Jungle Boy over in the process. Jungle Boy looks strong by going the distance with the world champion. You can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong there. It just sells itself. Why would you beat Jungle Boy when you know for a fact that they're going to be the biggest tag team in your entire division in 2020? So make everybody look strong. They did not announce the 10-minute time limit just for the sake of announcing, you're going 10 minutes. They want to condition you on the 10-minute time limit and the fact that time limits are going to factor into the overall story that they're trying to tell. Otherwise, they wouldn't have announced it that way. So I can't wait to see what they do. Main event, the Young Bucks versus Proud and Powerful Santana and Ortiz. I was looking forward to this match, and this was a very fun match. One thing I will say about this, and I have to call it out because it looked absolutely ridiculous every single time. Now, there were some table spots that looked ridiculous, and one of them happened right at the beginning of the match. We had Nick Jackson jump off and do a fucking Jeff Hardy-like swanton off the fucking tunnel that's standing on the AEW stage, right through, I believe it was Santana, through a table on the stage. Some of the table spots looked fantastic. Most of them looked ridiculous. I don't know what they used as far as gimmick tables go, but I swear to God, man, they look like fucking... It looked like the tables were made out of construction paper. Every spot I seen in the ring or outside the ring, somebody was going through a table, whether it was Nick Jackson or it was Ortiz going through a table. It looked like the table was broken upon little impact. It looked like the table was breaking before they even went crashing through the table. And some of the table spots, the fans didn't really acknowledge. Normally a table spot is supposed to get a huge pop from the fans. Some of the table spots in the later portions of this match did not get any pop because the tables looked so fucking gimmicked. It looked ridiculous. You can't be doing that. Now, I know you need to protect your performers, but holy shit. Make them a little bit more sturdy and a little bit more believable if you're going to do that many table spots. That's the one takeaway I did not like about this match. Some people were asking me, JD, why are Santana and Ortiz in a number one contenders match? Because they are pretty much neck and neck with the Young Bucks, number one and number two. This is to determine the number one contender for the tag team titles. So why not? I don't get why people are so ridiculous in their line of questioning. Why aren't Santana and Ortiz getting the title shot if they're the number one contenders? Who said that they have to? You got the number one and number two teams in the entire division going at it to find out who the number one contender is. The Young Bucks are just as good as as Santana and Ortiz, as Proud and Powerful. So why not put them in a match to determine who's going to go on to fight SCU? I don't know why people make a big deal out of nothing. So the Young Bucks made their entrance. Santana, Ortiz, and Guevara, of course, because it's no disqualification, jumped them as soon as their money confetti blasted out of the cannons. So it was a brilliant attack. Young Bucks did not see it coming. As soon as those cannons went off, they were attacked. So they didn't even expect it and they didn't hear it. So you got to appreciate the fact that they came out and they picked their spots beautifully, did the Inner Circle. Brandon Cutler tried to come out and help. He was beaten down. He was powerbombed off the stage like Matt Jackson was a couple of weeks ago. So the same spot that Matt Jackson took, Brandon Cutler, welcome to the party. They tossed Matt Jackson off the stage onto two security guys down below. They hopped they actually started beating Nick Jackson with the sock. And I believe it was baseballs that was acknowledged that was in those socks. So they set up a table and put Nick on it. Matt made the save, knocked Santana off the pillar he was climbing. Matt then lifted Guevara, and Nick delivered a running Indie Taker on the stage to Sammy Guevara. Took him out. So Ortiz was on the table. Nick climbed to the top of the entrance tunnel. He leaped off and delivered a swanton, crashing through the table and through Ortiz. This was a Falls Count Anywhere match, so they actually went for a 2 count there. Ross noted it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. I did not know it was a... I thought it was I guess it's a Texas Death Match. I didn't know it was a Falls Count Anywhere. They should have made that apparent in the ruling last week. I didn't think that it was going to be Falls Count Anywhere. Pins could be made on the outside. I thought pins had to be, conducted on the inside, but, fuck me for not knowing. It was noted in commentary while the match was happening. So they made their way to the ring. Trash cans, canes, ladders, everything got involved here. So Dustin Rhodes was forced into this thing because Jake Hager interfered in the match. Those two, I assume, are going to be fighting at the new pay-per-view called Revolution, February 29th in Chicago, and it's going to be a great show because I know what they have lined up with what we got going on with TV now. It's going to be an awesome show in Chicago. Might have to make my way back out there in Chicago on February 29th. So we got Hager and Dustin Rhodes, who I assume are going to be going one-on-one at that pay-per-view because Jake Hager broke Dustin Rhodes' hand. So they are fighting. Hager is no longer involved in this match. So we continued with all 4 guys in this match in the ring. Matt and Nick landed more bang for your buck. Referee was down because he got an accidental punt kick from, I believe, Matt Jackson while he was on the apron. Out comes Aubrey Edwards. So Aubrey Edwards comes out. She gets a huge pop. We got an Aubrey chant for her coming down and potentially making the save here. So that was pretty cool to see that AEW gave Aubrey this position for her to get this kind of reaction. I've never really heard, at least I can't remember, a referee getting her name chanted or a referee's name chanted, period, by the crowd. Awesome. You gotta love it. Aubrey Edwards is really getting over as far as the senior official referee spot in AEW. So, Aubrey Edwards came out. Santana and Ortiz came back, set up with the trash compactor off the top. And they hit that on Nick Jackson. They went for a cover there. And that was broken up by Matt on the outside. Matt actually dragged Aubrey Edwards out of the ring. And she really couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it because there are no rules. So they're obviously playing by the rules. So Santana and Ortiz obviously arguing with Aubrey Edwards. Again, there's nothing that she could do about it. They set up 2 chairs facing each other. They were going to do a powerbomb double team move off the top rope. So we got that stopped. Bucks took over again. Santana was knocked off the top rope through a table. The Bucks took over, landed stereo super kicks to Ortiz. Matt held up a chair, which looks silly. Matt held up a chair against Ortiz's face, and he just sat there. He sat there as Matt held the chair against his face, and he did nothing to prevent this move from just happening. He just stood there. It's just it looks ridiculous. It really does. There's nothing about Ortiz in that moment where he can't get up and just push Matt away and just not have the fucking chair super kicked in his face. It just looks silly. So Matt held his chair up against Santana, or Ortiz's face, I believe it was. Ortiz, and then Nick kicked it into his head. Fans are chanting AEW. They delivered the Meltzer driver onto a bunch of chairs, and they pinned him 1, 2, 3, and that was pretty much it. That was it. 15 minutes. Young Bucks win this Texas death match, or this Texas street fight. The Young Bucks are going on to challenge for the AEW Tag Team Championships next week against SCU. This was wild, silly. The tables kind of took me out of it a little bit because they were just overly gimmicked. But this was high stakes. It was high action. Both teams are fucking awesome. And I can't wait to see what the Tag Team Championship match is going to look like next week. SCU. I love the line that Jim Ross said in closing on this show. SCU are the Tag Team Champions, and they have been told, you're a great tag team, but you'll never be as great as the Young Bucks. But SCU is the Tag Team Champions. Next week is their week to prove that they are better than the Young Bucks. And SCU and the Young Bucks, with so many years of experience between all 4 of these guys, and I'm sure the countless times that they've been in the ring together, you know next week they're going to kill it. You know next week they're going to be looking at each other and they're going to be telling themselves, guys, we got to deliver a 5-star match. It's going to be awesome. Next week's show is going to be great. We got Britt Baker and Chris Statlander. We got the AEW Tag Team titles with SCU and the Young Bucks. We got Jericho and Jungle Boy. We got the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. Again, they're teaming up. Which makes me want to believe that what we've seen with Page is really small seeds being planted for a possible turn. Or him going rogue against the Elite. So it could be a possibility, you know? Pac wants his rematch against Omega. He wants his rubber match. And he says, if you don't give me my rubber match, I'm not going to be responsible for what happens next. So they're shaping next week up to be a big show. It is a pay-per-view like Dynamite next week. And that is being looked at as a pay-per-view show on TNT. It reminds me of that SmackDown in 2016, that last SmackDown Live in 2016, where they ended that show and it was like a pay-per-view show because at that time they were doing the brand-exclusive pay-per-views. Raw and SmackDown had their own pay-per-views. And Raw had the TLC pay-per-view that year. SmackDown didn't have anything. SmackDown had, coming out of the Survivor Series, they had no pay-per-view for all of December and most of January until the Royal Rumble. They needed a pay-per-view. So they built that show as its pay-per-view, the last show of the year. This Dynamite show next week is looking exactly like that next week, and I can't wait to see what they do. You know they're going to bring it. It's the last show of the year. You know they are going to go out like a fucking box of TNT. This was one of AEW's better shows. This was definitely one of the best shows in a few weeks for sure, and we got a ton of stuff building towards Revolution. We got a ton of stuff building towards next week. I can't wait to see what they do. Thank you guys so very much. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know down below. Leave a comment. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I'm going to start something new, man. If you guys made it to the end of the video, make sure you guys tweet down below. Or not tweet. Make sure you guys hashtag down below Team JD. If you guys made it to the end of the video, hashtag down below in the comments, Team JD. And then obviously leave a comment as well. Let me know what you guys think of the podcast and AEW Dynamite tonight. Follow me on social media at JD206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD206. Tonight's sponsor, the Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off. And make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed this week so far. I will be back tomorrow afternoon for NXT. I can't wait to see what happens with Ciampa, Keith Lee, and Finn Balor, who is going to go on to next week's big Wednesday night and challenge Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. We'll find out. I'll be right back here tomorrow afternoon. Join me then for the NXT podcast, and I'll see you guys tomorrow right back here on the channel. Listen to the #1 podcast in all of the YouTube wrestling community. This is Off the Script. I am JD, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow, guys. Have a good night.